Okay, we will call the Policy and Governance meeting to order. All three districts are present. Notice the meeting was properly posted on June 9th, 2025. Item number 1, is there a motion to approve the minutes of May 27th?
Move the item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 2, May and June employees of the month.
How are you, ma'am? Thank you. Doing well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we only have one candidate per month, one for May, one for June.
Okay.
Well, I will make a motion to accept the candidate for May for BOCC Employee of the Month, as well as the candidate for June.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Item number 3, Danny on our ARPA funding allocation. Good to see you again.
Thanks, you too. Good morning.
Morning.
We're going to do a little bit of a different format today. I know normally we kind of walk through what the funding statuses are, but since we've gotten through that obligation deadline, projects are moving along and we don't have concerns on things, so there's no need to bug you with a bunch of charts that don't mean anything right now. So we're going to talk about subrecipient management, our reporting requirements, and community engagement that's going on. So just at a high level, that subrecipient management is going to be talking about a reminder of all of the things that we look at when we go on these site visits. So it's the questions we're asking the subrecipients and the information we're collecting to make sure that they stay on track. And then we'll talk about reporting reminders because our annual report is coming up. So this is the very large comprehensive report that goes on the Oklahoma County website. It's over 200 pages long typically. And so what it will do is explains each of your projects, what their ultimate goals are, how their funding is being executed, and if there are any additional funding for performance metrics in there. And then we will talk about community engagement as well. We are doing another design thinking workshop with our subrecipients that's actually occurring tomorrow at the Oklahoma County office or Extension office. And so we're excited to kind of collect some more information that will go into the annual report with that as well. So at a high level, these are some of the items that we look at when we are going into our site visits with our subrecipients. So you can see there are quite a bit of them. And these are also all of the things that we remind them about when we do our compliance webinars. So we just had a compliance webinar last week. And so we walked through each of these with the subrecipients again. And I'm going to do it with you guys as well. So I know that Brandy has been with us from the beginning, but Paul and John got to join us a little bit later. So just wanted to give a reminder of all the pieces that we are looking at when we go through that compliance. So those first pieces when we are meeting with the subrecipients is talking about their allowable costs and activities. Are they using the funds for the appropriate use that they were approved with? So is this eligible? Is the cost they incurred eligible? And if it was a reimbursement, are we approving the reimbursement? We will also be double checking that they have followed the accurate procurement guidelines. So there are 3 different thresholds for procurement. When you're under 10,000, when you're between 10,000, 249,000, and then when you get over the 250,000. So making sure that they went through the correct, whether it was a competitive process or collecting 3 quotes, or if they did not have to do competitive procurement. So ensuring that those are correct. For your cash management piece, this is going to be for your subrecipients that receive funding on the front side. So any medium or high risk, we review their invoices before they receive payment. But if you are a low risk, we want to make sure that you have those proper internal controls. Do you have a 3-way match? Are you making sure that one person doesn't create the procurement and complete the purchase from start to finish? Are there multiple people, multiple hands in that process, making sure that there's no fraud or waste? And then, of course, talking about any equipment. This is if the threshold has changed. Previously, when we started with ARPA, it was $5,000. Now it's $10,000 if you have procured equipment. There are disposition guidelines that go along with that. So ensuring that our subrecipients remember that they have to keep those items until the end of useful life, or they may require some payment back to Treasury. there was a big push towards the matching level of efforts at the very beginning of ARPA. So making sure that there was that no duplication of benefits. And this was really important on the front end too, when we asked them to submit to us how they were going to be expending their funds, because you aren't allowed to supplement the funds for other funds. So if they got funds from the city and from the county, they couldn't pay for something with the city funds and then reimburse themselves again with the county funds. So making sure there was none of that kind of double dipping. We are always constantly reminding them of that period of availability of funds. So we did meet the obligation deadline at the end of 2024, but we do have the expenditure deadline still at the end of 2026. So making sure that there's no projects lagging behind and that they make sure that they meet that. And then the reminder as well to them that there is one final report after that 2026 deadline for quarterly reporting that they will have to submit. Talking about suspension and debarment. This is one that people are a little bit unfamiliar with typically, but it's quite simple. You use this sam.gov website, and what you're doing on your suspension and debarment is any of the subrecipients who go and get an additional vendor or are giving a subrecipient from themselves, they have to make sure that they're allowed to do work with the federal government. So you go into the portal on sam.gov, you plug in that organization's UEI, you make sure it pops up and that there's no issues on it. And they're supposed to take a little screenshot and save it in their file so that we know that they're checking up on any of your vendors as well. We remind them when it comes to program income, and most of your organizations are not getting any program income. A lot of them use them for immediate direct services, but if they are generating any sort of program income based on the ARPA specific funds, those dollars do have to be used back into the program specifically for the ARPA eligible uses. So you want to continue funneling those back into your programs. The real property and acquisition, this is very similar to the equipment, making sure that they understand that they've made large infrastructure improvements or they have purchased land, what those disposition rules look like for that as well. Again, always reminding them about the reporting requirements. So we do host the quarterly compliance webinars so that we're able to remind them that their forms are due to us, that we're collecting all of that information, and we always offer them the opportunity to submit questions at the end or request one-on-one meetings so that we can address anything that's outstanding. And so that all goes into the subrecipient monitoring piece that we do on our end, but if they have subrecipients, they need to be doing these things as well. So that's when it says K, subrecipient monitoring, that's what we're doing for you guys, but if they have additional subrecipients, we have to make sure that they're following these rules as well and addressing that down with each of theirs. And then the other one that people tend to be a little bit unfamiliar with, but it's a quick fix, is the Title VI compliance. So this is making sure that you are not discriminating by, race, gender, ethnicity, English proficiency, or anything like that. There is a requirement when you receive federal funds that you have to have a blurb on your website. That way a individual could reach out if they felt like they had been discriminated against. The county has it on their website. It's on your Oklahoma ARPA page. And we have shared language with each of your subrecipients so that they can add it on theirs as well. But everybody's doing really great. Those just tend to be the things with our newer subs or with those that haven't messed with federal funding yet, have to get used to knowing what those understanding requirements are. So we'll jump over into the reporting updates. I know you guys have seen this slide quite a bit. So where we're at in the purple is where we're at in the process. The green is all of the reports that we have completed, and then the yellow are the ones that are upcoming. So you can see right now, we were getting ready to do our reporting for July, and what will end up happening here is we're doing both our quarterly reporting and our annual reporting right now. So we are collecting our quarterly reporting information, which is typically closer to the financial related things, and then we're also doing the annual reporting, which is creating like that big program inventory. And so those are both running simultaneously right now. So you can see where our star is. This is where we're at. And then at the end of July, both of those are due. So this is where we get really heads down. We won't be doing site visits over the next few weeks as we're trying to get that report ready for you guys' review. So just as a quick overview, I'm not sure that you guys have ever had to fill out one of these, but your departments have. And so you go in and you get a Microsoft form from us when we are getting your quarterly reporting. And it looks like this to start off with. You put in your specific project and it populates the required data for that project. And what we're collecting on the quarterly report is specifically in these two brackets. So we're looking at funding information and then the program management information. So are you expending your amount on target? Is this meeting with what your quarterly goals were? Are you reporting your cumulative expenditure correctly? So that's, you've given us all your past quarters. Do they add up to your current one? And if there had been any spend on evidence-based interventions, that used to be something Treasury was a little bit more focused on than they are with the current administration, but still something we're collecting until told otherwise. And then also making sure, are there any program updates? Is there a delay in the project? And if there is, can you tell us why? Is it because you've had trouble getting personnel? Has it been an issue with obtaining lumber or any equipment and things like that? So making sure that if there is possibly a deadline that they didn't meet that they had thought they were going to meet, we're understanding why. And then reviewing any of their outcomes or mandatory performance reporting, and then jumping into our annual report. So this is the really long one, and these are all of the pieces that fall into that. So the quarterly reporting is important because that goes in, we will include it, and you'll see in the annual report the charts for how the funding has been expended so far, in which expenditure categories it is within. But then we have to go into each of the individual projects as well. So of course we start with that general executive summary talking about how the county originally found its goals and priorities and why these funding of these projects kind of align to that overarching county goal. We're going to talk about the use of funds, so how these projects were selected and that we know that they're eligible uses of funds. And then a little bit about promoting equitable outcomes. So how are these projects targeting specifically impacted communities, and how is that benefiting Oklahoma as a whole? We also do a little section on community engagement. So in the past, this was related to when we went out and we collected information from the community when we initially set up the portal. So what did they think the priorities were for the county? How did they want to see things addressed? Whereas now it's more of us continuing our communication with our sub-recipients, and then like we're doing tomorrow, continuing those design thinking workshops and allowing them opportunities to interact. We do a small section about your labor practices. So the county does pay the Davis-Bacon requirements on all of their projects, and this is tracked by the owner's rep, and he keeps all of those files. But we do a blurb in there talking about the county providing those resources, and that those are kept and can be looked at any time. So you are doing the prevailing wage, and we do collect the certified payroll. We will talk about the use of evidence again. So if any of your programs are using specific evidence-based interventions, we highlight that within their program summary as well. And then, of course, gathering that quantitative data for outcomes and outputs. So that's part of why we do these design thinking workshops as well. It allows us not only to hear the stories from the participants that have received funds, but they are able to tell us, hey, I was able to serve 10 people yesterday, or I've served 500 in the totality of the program. And we're able to put those numbers into the annual report as well. So each of the project inventories will have your project's names, their total funding amount, what the status is of that project. Is it in progress? Is it completed? Is it not started? And then the general description. And so all of that rolls up into your annual report that's accessible to anyone once it's on the county website, and is intended very much so for transparency so that anyone can see how the county has spent their funds. And then this is the fun part, talking about the community engagement. So last year we did a design thinking workshop with the recipients, and we called it a ripple effect mapping workshop. So what we did was had them come together and say, where have the fundings gone within Oklahoma County? So there was a lot into mental health, or there was a lot into reduction in recidivism and things like that. And we said, okay, now how do these things all actually cross connect? And we had to map out together that having these better services helps with these reductions, and kind of had this really large mind map that is in the annual report for last year. This year, we're going to look at it a little bit differently. Because of the changes, there had been a large push for evidence-based interventions, and we're seeing that shift towards more of a return on investment. So we want to make sure that your subrecipients are up to date on that, mostly so that they are prepared for in the future. It's good for them as well. We're able to collect information, but it also allows us to set them up for, hey, the next time you're reaching out for federal funds, here's how you should be scoping your story now, so that it makes more sense with the way that the guidelines are currently reading. So we're going to do a quick community engagement session with the subs tomorrow. There will be two, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to have them start with a sticky note activity. So they're going to talk about, like, prior to receiving funding, and then after they received funding, how those things have impacted one another, and we'll have them map that out on a board. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about why that mattered. So why there has been this shift to the return on investment, and then how to tell their story based on what they just gave us as their input and output. We are going to have them fill out a form while we were there as well. So you'll see in that activity 2 and 3, this is where we're taking their numbers. So we're having them put in, how many people have you served? How many dollars have you expended? And also asking for them to give those narratives of the impact of their story. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll let everybody share those stories. That is one of the best parts. It's lovely hearing people interact with one another and talk about how their programs have been beneficial. And As you all know, there are so many of these organizations that work together. So getting to hear them talk about the things they do together or find other people in the community they can connect with is a great opportunity through those narratives. And then we're going to have them build a one-pager. So we've gone through, we've talked about your inputs, your outputs, we've gotten your numbers, we've done some storytelling, and then we want them to be able to put that together. So this is how you're going to map out in the future as a one-pager for whomever, right? This is what my program was successful at doing in this short amount of time, and this is a quick snapshot of what that might look like. So we'll give them this in a template form in PowerPoint, so they'll be able to update it themselves as well. It's not a requirement that they submit it back to us because it is just kind of to help get them moving forward. But anyone that does, we will of course share with you all, and we can use that data again in that annual report. So really an opportunity to stay involved with them, keep them up to date, but also collect some really, really good information. But that is all I have for you guys today. No action items, so relatively simple. Any questions?
I don't. Thank you so much, as always.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 4, the agreement between BOCC and Daily Living Centers.
Good morning.
Morning.
So today we have Amanda Durmeyer, who is the president and CEO of Daily Living Centers, and also joining her is Michelle Shepard. She's the vice president of operations, and Nelson Miller is on the board and used to be the CFO.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for.
So just history for Paul and John in regards to how this has came about. 3 years ago, there was a senior bid that was submitted by the county, and so Daily Living Centers applied for that bid. And then since then, there has been a renewal of that bid, and then there was also an application period where they were awarded those funds again. And so there's 2 more years that we have available in this contract in order to do a renewal. So this is a renewal year. This is not a bid year, and so I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here and just tell you a little bit about Daily Living Centers and how Oklahoma County has really helped us. Just to give you a little background, we are Oklahoma's first and leading adult day center. We do have 3 locations: Edmond, Southwest Oklahoma City, and Bethany. And we serve senior adults and adults with disabilities, whether that's developmental, intellectual, or physical. And so what we do is we offer a safe environment for our participants to come each day. And we serve healthy meals. We provide transportation to and from the center, give them a chance for socialization, exercise, meaningful activities, and we take them out into the community for field trips as well. We do have a professionally staffed team where we can pass medications, we can assist with personal care, even bathing services, things like that. And so we are taking care of these adults who they cannot stay at home by themselves. And so their caregivers are given a chance to have respite or taking a break from their 24/7 caregiver duties. I would say about 80% of our caregivers still have to work, and they wouldn't be able to work if their loved one didn't have somewhere to go during the day. So the people that we serve, we are currently serving ages 18 to 102. We have not had anyone older than 102 yet. We have a wide variety of ages and abilities that we serve. Many of our participants, have Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and then some of our other participants have developmental disabilities such as autism, Down syndrome, some have traumatic brain injury. And the majority of our participants, about 85%, are low income. One other relationship that we have with Oklahoma County is the Citizens for Shine. County Commissioner Brian Mon brought this program to us in 2021. And it just gives our participants purpose. And so they get to volunteer out in the community and as well as in our centers. And of course, the county commissioners come out and do presentations, which our participants get very excited about. But it gives them that sense of purpose, and they're able to give back to the community. Since 2021, we have over 70,000 volunteer hours that our participants have done. the bid that Jessica was referring to, the funding from Oklahoma County, goes towards scholarships for adults living 60 and older living in Oklahoma County. Ever since we started 51 years ago, our goal has always been to never turn anyone away due to lack of financial resources. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of our participants are lower income, and some of them do qualify for other pay sources through the state or federal. But there's a lot of them who are just over that income cap, and they cannot afford a private pay rate. And so the county has helped us maintain that goal of never turning anyone away. And since 2021, we have been able to provide 75 participant scholarships with this funding. That means that we have impacted around 225 clients total, because we consider the participants and their caregivers as our clients. And then we've provided more than 7,600 days of adult day and transportation services just with this funding alone. I do want to tell you about one of our participants who has used this funding to attend our centers. His name is Dr. Howard Stein. He's 79 years old, and he actually started attending daily living centers in late 2022. His living situation had changed in 2023, and his finances were unable to pay privately for adult day services. So he did not qualify for adult day state-funded services or even the Advantage Medicaid waiver because he made just $100 a month too much. So he was $100 over the income cap. So our scholarship fund has allowed him to continue to attend 3 times a week. And we asked him how he felt, what DLC does for him. He said, DLC is an emotionally and physically safe place for me, a refuge where I feel welcomed and truly cared for. To an extent, this is a place where I can complete some of my physical therapy indoors and be observed so that I am safe. I have developed friendships with the healthcare staff and other participants. If I could not attend DLC, I feel I would be even more isolated and desolate. I would not have that social interaction that all humans need. I feel heard by all levels of care of the staff, and they actually genuinely want to talk to me. I feel that I am good for other people here as well, which gives me that joy and makes me feel helpful. Howard enjoys coming and socializing at DLC, but he also is a volunteer in our SHINE program, and he actually tutors some of our younger participants for continuing education, because he is a retired professor, Dr. Howard Stein. I just wanted to share kind of just a brief overview with you all so you knew kind of how the funding and the relationship with the county has really impacted daily living centers and the participants and caregivers that we serve. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's great information.
Item number 5, professional services agreement with the.
Do we need to vote on the agreement?
Oh,
You'll need to
sorry.
vote on
Skip
the
a step.
contract.
Move the item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And item number 5, professional services agreement with the Oklahoma City Economic Development Foundation. We
Okay.
have members of the chamber here.
Join us. This is Dennis. Dennis is new to Oklahoma, so he's been here for 2 months, new to this position. So we're excited to build a relationship with him, and he's here today to talk about the impact that our partnership has made in the community. And we also have Eric here.
Good to have you both.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. I do want to start by stating my gratitude. I've been here 2.5 months. I come from St. Louis. I was there for 17 years at an organization called Missouri Partnership. Our role was to attract companies to the state of Missouri. And this is a new role for me as Senior Vice President at the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce for Economic Development. And so excited also to introduce my friend and colleague, Eric Long, who leads our research division at the Chamber, and also have Sarah Lynn and Melissa and Mike Jackson from the Government Affairs. Okay. I don't know if I can move this, or do you do this? I have a short presentation. While that's coming up, I just want to just give you the outline. I'm going to talk about our organization, the core functions that we achieve. I want to give you an overview of our project activity with a focus on Oklahoma County projects. I want to talk about some of the demographics that we're experiencing and the positive growth, address the aerospace and defense sector here in Oklahoma County, and some of the unique sites in our project activities. Let me see if it's coming up. That's okay. We're fine. I know my presentation, so it's okay. It was more just to help reinforce the points. But we have a great team. We have a team of about 15 people on the Economic Development Division. Our core functions are attracting companies to the greater Oklahoma City region. For us, that encompasses a 10-county area, but we also, Oklahoma County obviously is our core county with 85% of the population, and majority of our projects are going to Oklahoma County. We also are very mindful of our existing companies, and see if that goes on to the next slide. There we go. We're a lot of the press and attention goes to the new wins, but we think it's very important also to take care of our existing companies. So we have a very active business retention program, helping them with any issues that they're facing and helping them with expansions and retention. Eric leads our research and data support. We want to make scientific presentations to our prospects, not just emotional. And so we rely on Eric and his team to pull together the data that resonates with our companies. We have 4 specific sectors that we really work on: aerospace and defense, why we're here today. That's primarily the purpose of our contract with the county, is to support Tinker and the aerospace sector. But we also are very active in retail, destination retail, life science and biosciences in the film and creative industry sector. I mentioned our 10-county region. It's important because when companies look to come to Oklahoma County, they're relying on a workforce that is greater than just this one county. And I'll show you a slide in a minute about the commuting patterns. But this 10-county region contributes, it's a population of 1.6 million, which is about 850,000 on the workforce, more than 100,000 veterans. So it's a very attractive workforce, and that's why it's important to look at this as a greater Oklahoma City or Oklahoma County. And then some of our special initiatives is being prepared. One of my, it's not new to me, but I didn't create it, but prepared communities win. And so we're looking to be proactive in identifying sites, a portfolio of sites, not just the mega sites, but how can we be prepared to attract industrial distribution data centers to our region. We're working on workforce development, industry communication. What that means is I'm trying to facilitate conversations between existing companies so that they can take advantage of the workforce or the products that are made here in Oklahoma County and the region. There seems to be a disconnect between some of the manufacturing companies who are not aware of the services. So one business retention strategy is to really sink in those roots by deepening the supply chain within our region. So that's what the industry communication is. Then foreign direct investment and exports. How do we get more engaged in the international economy? Next, please. This slide is a snapshot of our current activity. We have 111 active projects. I want to draw your attention to this at the pipeline stage because that gives you an idea of how long some of these projects take. We source our own. We receive projects from site selection consultants. Then we submit an RFP. We complete the data. If we have a site or a building that fits their needs, then there is a site visit that is completed. Sometimes multiple site visits. A company will come back 2 or 3 times, make sure that the real estate meets their needs. Then there'll be a pending decision based on incentives often, and then there'll be an announcement. That timeline typically is 0 to 10 months, but we have some that are on the books for at least 12 months or more, and some of those are just complicated projects. And what I like about our project pipeline is that 65% or 67% of those are manufacturing, and manufacturing projects are my preference. I think they create the most jobs. They have the most impact on the surrounding region. So it's a good multiplier effect to having manufacturing jobs. It's very solid. Next, please. This is for the county. The previous slide was 111 for the entire 10-county region. We have for the past year that just wrapped up or about to wrap up, 70 projects and in the deal flow. And if all those come together, which is unlikely, but if we get 25% of those, we'll be very happy. We create 31,000 jobs with $17.5 billion in capital investment. Next, please. Chamber-assisted companies is kind of a vague term, but it means how do we interact with companies, and that's going to be at the business attraction side, the retention side. Sometimes it's just touching base with them, taking their temperature, find out what's going on in your company, how can we strengthen the economy, what are some of the policy issues that you want us to address. And so we've worked with, over the last year here, we've helped with those expansions, and that led to 4,000 new jobs and a payroll of $290 million and $484 in capital investment. Next, please. And let me hasten to add there that those are not just our activities. We firmly believe that economic development is a team sport, so we're relying on the Oklahoma Department of Commerce, we're relying on our county partners, we're relying on multiple other chambers of commerce, we're relying on the governor's office. So I don't want to give the impression that these are all our activities. We work together with a lot of these people to support. Here are some examples of some of the wins that have come. These are either new to market or expansions of existing companies, and I like the diversity. You have aerospace and defense, you have equine, you have building materials, you have software, you have data center supply chain on the cooling side. So it's a really good mix. There's not one sector that's really dominating our wins, which is positive because we need that diversity. Next, please. I'm not going to go through, there are a lot of companies here. I'll let you digest this a little bit, but I'm not going to go through every one of these. But these are examples of companies that we've interacted with over the last 5 years. And it gives you a good sense of how, one, diverse the economy is at Oklahoma County and how active our team is in engaging this. Our contract with the county is really primarily on aerospace and defense, but our work is really broad, and I wanted to demonstrate that. If you can just scroll through these slowly, it would show some of the activity that we've done. So we keep track of our conversations, and we do follow-ups. So here are some announced projects. Now, we couldn't list all of our wins because some of the companies want to remain confidential, but these are some of the announced wins. Then if you just keep going down slowly, please. I know it's small font, but you have this presentation, and you can see for the next 3 slides, these are all companies that we've been engaged with, whether it's taking their temperature, listening to their concerns, and helping them out with policy decisions or economic expansions. Okay, there's a test. Which companies did you remember? Just joking. So now we're going to shift into the demographics. Really positive news that Oklahoma County continues to grow. The entire region is growing. Every county in our area has had growth, which is very positive. And not all counties can say this. Not all states can say that they're experiencing population growth. This has so many positive impacts on employment, growth, stimulates more growth. And so we're in a great position here. This will help with tax rolls, with capital investment, with schools. It's very positive. You want to be on a growth sector, and it's a sustainable growth. It's nothing that's too rapid that's going to take us by surprise. Next, please. This is a little hard to see, but the colors show up. The red, and then this is Oklahoma City. I don't have Oklahoma County data. I apologize. But this is data on showing new growth, new residential growth in red. So you see a lot of growth, and that's going to cross out into the county as well. But here you see the strong residential development that's taking place in Oklahoma City and hence in Oklahoma County. Next, please. Here you see the other counties surrounding us that are experiencing growth as well. So I wouldn't say we're sitting pretty, but we're moving in the right direction clearly, that we have good population growth, which really creates opportunities, which is the sole function of economic development, is to create opportunities for our young people, our young professionals, or our older people to stay and make their lives more better. Next, please. I want to just pause here real quick. This slide's a little bit complicated, but it makes sense. If you look at the blue county, that's Oklahoma County, 85% of the people that live, 85% of the working population work in Oklahoma County. All right. And so if you look at the Canadian county just to the west here, 26% of that county work in Canadian County, but 69%, I can't read my numbers here, 67% come over from Canadian County every day into Oklahoma County to work. So what this chart demonstrates is that you are the powerhouse of this 10-county region, and you're drawing in workers from all over. And that's why we want the surrounding counties to be strong, why we want to win projects in the surrounding counties as well, is because that growth will make this county just as strong and continue to be strong. Next, please. And now the focus of this presentation really on our contract is on aerospace and defense and Tinker and the Air Force Base, FAA, Mike Monroney Center. So these are just quick overview of the assets. You're very familiar with these, but it's a very unique asset that many counties would love to have, and we're very fortunate to have this strong aerospace and defense sector here, anchored by the Air Force Base and FAA and our defense contractors. Next, please. These are some of the engagement that we did over the last 12 months, or last 2 years. I just want to share these highlights with you. Growth at Tinker, engagement with the Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center, that's constantly. Patty Ripple, I'm not sure if you know her, but Patty is our point person on all things at Tinker and the Air Force Base and the Mike Monroney. She does a great job for us and engages and keeps me informed of what's going on. But you see the growth there. We've just commissioned a aerospace study that should be released in the coming weeks. That shows positive growth on the manufacturing side. So that's new to us. It's something that we really want to build up, is the manufacturing, especially on the UAVs. So that's a big sector that's growing. But continued growth in support of our defense contractors. National security is very important to us, and we take that mission very seriously. And so we really want to continue to build up this aerospace defense sector. We do a lot of work. I'm leaving Thursday for the Paris Air Show with the governor's delegation. We do events. We're going to do one in Taiwan. We've done local here. So we are really, a lot of our activity is focused on aerospace. Next, please. And these are some of the other unique assets that we're promoting, not just the land around the airfield, but these are in Oklahoma County. Expand campus, the former Chesapeake campus. That's a great asset. We're trying to get that filled. We have some industrial parks. So these are some examples of industrial and retail and office spaces that we're trying to fill. And the last slide, please. And this is our activity. We're always on the road. Our team of 15 is constantly out, meeting with site selection consultants, meeting directly with companies, learning what's going on in the industry, and doing our best to strengthen the economy of Oklahoma and the region. So Oklahoma County and the region. So thank you for your patience in my presentation. It's an honor to be here. I'll be here I'm just a few blocks down the road. Anytime you want me to come up, I'll come and talk to you and answer your questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
And before I make the motion for approval, I just want to say thank you all for coming down and giving this presentation. Not to compare Oklahoma County to the city of Oklahoma City, but the Chamber has a strong record of making presentations to the Economic Development Trust as well as the City Council when it comes to the contract. And so I just want to say thank you for coming down and giving a presentation to Oklahoma County, since we do pay a good portion of the work that you all do. And so I just want to say again, thank you for the work that y'all do to continue to get businesses within Oklahoma County, to locate within Oklahoma County, and to keep those businesses in Oklahoma County. Now, attachment A does talk about, Tinker FAA, but attachment A also talks about the existing businesses. And there's a section in there that talks about outreach, and it talks about that you all will do 18 to 20 outreach activities within this contract year. Can you please tell us what that means?
Yeah. I don't know if you want to go back. You know that slide that had all those names of companies? Those are the ones that are examples of the ones that we contacted with and had official visits with. Now, we're always out on the street talking to people, like I was at a lunch and I meet the company. I'm not counting that as an engagement. An engagement is a formal conversation where we sit down with them, and I like to use the term "take the temperature." You know, the term is business retention and expansion, BRE. I call it business reality and enlightenment. We use those visits to see what's really going on in the street. I mean, we can read the press, we can see reports, but when we're out on the floor, so for example, I was at Technogenia last week out there on the west side of town. It's a French company that does drill bits, and they have a special technology that toughens them up and makes them stronger. So I was able to walk the floor, talk to them, find out what their issues are, and that's an example of a business retention and expansion visit. Is because I learn by seeing and visiting and talking rather than just reading. And so for me, it's important to get out there and see those things. And we have a person on staff, Eric Williams, who's constantly out talking to companies. Patty Ripple is out there talking to the aerospace company specifically. So those are examples of those 23. But I had, where that, keep the other direction, please. But keep going, please. One more. Okay, so these 3 slides, this slide, next slide, over the last 5 years, these are all companies that we've had meetings with at some level, whether it's a formal arranged phone call or a visit on the factory floor to find out what's going on.
Okay.
It's going to be a lot more than 23, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The next time that you all give a presentation, I would like to see the data for Oklahoma County map. I know you showed Oklahoma City.
The real estate.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see if that exists.
So if we can get for the next presentation the actually map of Oklahoma County, that would be very helpful. But with that said, Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you very much. I do want to extend my gratitude for you. It's my first time here formally, and I will come back as often as you need me to. And again, I know, John, you have my card, and anytime you have a question, please let me know, and I'll answer your question. And we appreciate our partnership with you, and thank you.
Great
Thank you.
information. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, we have item number 6, the third amendment to the professional service agreement with the Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Advisory Council.
Okay, this is our final contract for discussion today. We have Melissa Walton, the new president and CEO or executive director of the Criminal Justice Advisory Council. And this contract is not to exceed $150,000, and she has a document for you to receive today.
Motion to receive document?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Melissa Walton. I'm the Executive Director of the Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Advisory Council. You have the third amendment to the professional service agreement, or our agreement. So CJAC was founded out of the Barrett Institute report back in 2015. So it's a collaboration of our community stakeholders in the criminal justice system. The third amendment was approved at our council meeting on May 15th, and it has been distributed to our partners, you, the county, the city of Oklahoma City, and the city of Edmond. The agreement was originally created and signed in 2022. The amendment extends our contract until June 30th of 2026. The original agreement defines our scope of services, which is outlined in the handout I just gave you, which is to promote the policies that will lead to a more effective criminal justice system, enhance public safety, and encourage regular communication and collaboration among the partners. There's a lot more that goes into that. But the agreement defines the compensation for the services of CJAC, and Attachment A defines the deadlines and the composition of the quarterly and annual reports. And so I know that there has been some requests for improved communication around the council, and so I'm absolutely committed. You know, I've been here for 7 weeks, and so committed to making sure that there is more communication between the county and CJAC. And so we can definitely do that both with this committee, the budget board, and I'm happy to do that through email communications, and also, kind of like Dennis said, happy to come and give more reports at the P&G meeting as well.
So the council has 3 committees. Those committees, subcommittees. The subcommittees are led by council members. We have the courts committee, the facilities, and the data committee. I kind of put some goals on there that we're working on with each of those subcommittees. The courts subcommittee is led by Judge Ogden, and we're kind of streamlining the diversion court services, the screening processes to get into those treatment courts. The pretrial screening assessment, that is being led by team, but we want to be there to be a support system for the implementation of the PSA. The co-op assessment that's happening inside of the detention center, we want to be able to help facilitate that. That's with some changes in the Department of Mental Health. That assessment is lagging right now, so we want to be there to support that conversation. And then, of course, supporting ongoing education for any of the decision makers that are in the judicial system. Our facilities subcommittee, we want to collaborate with community stakeholders to define who's going to be served in the behavioral health center. That was tasked with us in our last CJAC meeting back in May. And so what we don't want to happen is for the new behavioral health center to just be a catch-all for everybody who's in a community, in our community in crisis. And so with the onboarding of the 2 new centers with OPIC in our community, we really want to make sure that we're using our resources wisely in the community and just make sure that not everybody is taken to the new behavioral health center. So with the new RFP for the provider that's coming out, that we are helping facilitate that conversation, do all of the training that we can once we help, collaborate with the new person chosen through the RFP process. And then with the data hub coming on board, we just did the new data feasibility study through the data committee. And so we really want to, we've shown that with all the processes, with all the different data sources that are being used throughout the community, stakeholders, we can collect data from the partners and we can use that data, we can clean it up, we can process it, and we can put it into usable information. So as it is coming through, we can see what's happening from the first law enforcement interaction to all the way through their community, through the end of their case in the judicial system. We can look at that, we can measure the average length of a case, we can measure, really look at and understand where the clogs are coming. Is it how is it affecting the jail population? Is it the caseload at the court system? We can look at the spectrum of the time that they're in the system and really kind of see, look at the data and see if we can better increase the efficiency of the system as a whole using that kind of common case identifier and looking at cases throughout the system. So what, starting a pilot program, what can we do in the data subcommittee? So that's what we're kind of tackling with those subcommittees, getting them back online and moving forward. Something else I put on there is what we're using with the funding system. So underneath kind of that bullet point of assisting and coordinating activities that affect the criminal justice system, the council is the fiscal agent for a COSSUP federal grant that supports the county's misdemeanor diversion program, better known as MDP. So the program is actually based at the diversion hub, and the project embeds a Red Rock Behavioral Health Services therapist and a peer support specialist at the diversion hub to provide on-site support to those who need substance use disorder services in the program. So MDP did exist before this grant, but it really provided those individual case management services. And this is a 3-year grant that is an expansion opportunity to bring in additional therapeutic services for the program. We're currently in year 2 of 3 of that grant. It brings up because it's important, because Diversion Hub and Red Rock would not be able to be qualified for this grant on their own. So they are a nonprofit organization and they needed a government entity to be able to apply for that grant. So they would have to go through the county, they would have to go through the state to be able to get this federal grant. And CJAC was able to step in and be able to partner with them using their government entity status. So as you can see from the results that I put in the handout, since we had this grant from October of 23, we've had 555 cases diverted. That's 254 individuals that we've served since October of 2023. And if we just do some quick math, 254 people that got out of jail just a day early is $16,888 that the county has saved. We can say maybe they got out of jail 2 days early, and we're saving, $32,000. Not only with the program are we saving the county money because they're coming out of jail, we're also bringing in $500,000 into the economy each year through that grant. So we're employing 4 people, we're bringing in supporting services, we're helping them find jobs. 77% of those people that are going through the MDP program are graduating successfully. They're getting their charges dismissed. They are hopefully, we're getting them through. We're making them healthy citizens. They're employed. We're getting them through the pipeline faster. We're addressing those services before they're moving into higher criminal activity. And so it's the first one of the things that we've done really well since the VERA report is we've expanded diversion programs. We have great treatment court programs, but those are for higher risk, higher need people. With this MDP program, we're really meeting them, getting their needs met earlier in the criminal justice system. And as you can see, we have a 15% recidivism rate with this MDP program versus the 28% of a general just recidivism rate. And this program is really successful. The co-op team actually just went to the National RISE conference last month and presented. Over 8,000 treatment court professionals were at this conference. It's the premier conference for all of criminal justice reform in the nation. And so it's pretty cool that they chose this co-op program to be one of the better programs to talk about for even pre-trial assistance. So just wanted to wrap up and say that since the outset of CJAC, our goal has been to convene decision makers in Oklahoma County and Oklahoma City and Edmond to work together to find solutions that reduce the population of the jail, increase efficiency and effectiveness of the criminal justice center. And through those efforts of the past 7 years, the daily population at the detention center has decreased dramatically, sometimes even hitting, the record lows. But many of the VERA report recommendations have been implemented, including law enforcement increasing the use of citations, expanded use of diversion programs. Like I said, some of the best ones in the county or country are in Oklahoma County, and reducing the impact of fines and fees as driver for jail populations through events like the warrant clearing events. But we do have opportunities that remain. So unfortunately, we're starting to see those jail populations creep back up. We're averaging about 1,500, a little over 1,500 per day. We've been doing not only in our detention centers, but in the treatment courts or treatment centers that really affect what we're doing in our criminal justice system. So it's really affecting the policies that our communities worked really hard to put in place. And so I think the work of CJAC, the collaboration of our city and county partners, it's as important now as it was in 2017. So we just need to continue the momentum and complete the implementation of the recommendations of the VERA report. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Do you have any idea as to the proposed implementation date for the PSA?
I know that they are training. The public defenders have been trained. The district attorneys have been trained, and they should, by June 30th, have the judges training. And so as soon as that, what I've heard in my conversations with teams, that once the training for the judges is, then it will start.
Okay, well, thank you. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Mr. Chair, before I make the motion for approval, I have several comments. Number one, CJAC has done